G'day guys, exciting update to the World Eaters with a new data sheet from the Kill Team box set that's going to absolutely flip the meta on its head. So in today's video we're going to talk about this exciting new unit, the Goremongers.
Look for the Blood God.
Are you tired of overkilling or underkilling enemy units? Tired of wasting time deciding how many attacks to allocate to achieve a desired outcome? And are you tired of complicated maths, calculating multiple weapon profiles with complex special rules? Well, thanks to today's sponsor, all of those problems are problems of the past. Adept Roll allows you to input the profile of your attacking units and the profile of the units they are attacking into to calculate expected results with precision. You can apply modifiers like Feel No Pain, -1 to hit, damage reduction, as well as enemy strats like Armor of Contempt to get precise results for what you expect your units to do on the tabletop. By rapidly simulating 1,000 rolls, Adept Roll will help you understand what your expected results are likely to be in any given tabletop situation. You can even save attacker or defender profiles to make data entry super fast and super simple, as well as importing them from various sources like Battlescribe or even screenshots from the Games Workshop app itself. So if you're looking to upskill, play like a pro, and stop making avoidable mistakes on the tabletop, download Adept Roll today and start playing with precision. Alrighty guys, so let's have a look at this unit. The first thing you'll notice straight out of the gate is they have a 9-inch movement characteristic and their toughness 4. So these guys, when they get the Feel No Pain, they're going to be relatively tough compared to other small units of, these sorts of light infantry. And they're also 9-inch move with the potential to getting +2 to that move and advance and charge. They're going to be similar speed to your 8-bound, even though they are just your Jackal-esque infantry. So that's really exciting changes just to the profile itself. Then we go into their range weapons. You'll notice they've all got their auto pistols. However, one of them is going to have a Blood Harpoon, which is an 18-inch range assault weapon that has sustained D3 hits, strength 5, AP 1, 2 damage. So that's not inconsiderate amount of shooting. That's a reasonable amount of shooting, especially given that this is a relatively cheap unit that's kind of more of a throwaway action monkey, but it will be able to contribute something with that shooting. The melee weapons, quite interesting. So they've just got chain blades. They're 3 attacks each, 4 on the charge, hitting on 4s. They are strength 4 on the charge, AP 0, 1 damage, but interestingly they have lance, which means they're going to get +1 to their wound rolls on a turn in which they charge. So strength 4 +1 to wound means they're winning Marines on 3+. So that's really interesting. It doesn't have the sustained hits that the Jackal chain blades have, so there's some pros and cons there. But it's just interesting to see a different weapon profile on these guys. But where this unit really breaks the meta and flips it on its head is with its abilities. So you'll notice here they've got infiltrators. Now this is massive for the World Eaters. One of the challenges the World Eaters have is that a lot of their units pivot around those scout moves. You've got 8-bound with scout, and then you've got Lord Invocatus granting scout to friendly units. The problem is if your opponent has infiltrators, they can set them up in no man's land 9 inches away from your deployment, and that's done during the deployment. And then scout moves take place after deployment, which means that those scout moves happen after your opponents deploy their infiltrators, and you can't end a scout move within 9 inches of enemy models, which means they can basically screen you and put all their infiltrators out, and now in your scout move, when you'll be doing that, you actually can't leave your deployment zone. So a savvy opponent with infiltrators can actually shut down one of the World Eaters' greatest strengths, which is their infiltrate moves. However, their scout moves. However, now we have access to infiltrators ourselves, which means we're going to be able to place our infiltrators down, which they then can't place their infiltrators within 9 inches of. So essentially what's going to happen is you're going to be able to place these guys down and then scout your 8-bound into the area that these guys occupy. So this is really, really powerful, and it synergizes really well with the 8-bound. Now it's worth noting that this is going to be easily countered by your opponent in that whoever drops first is going to have agency here. So when you do the roll off to choose attacker defender and see who starts deploying their army first, if they have infiltrators, and they get the first drop, they can basically place their infiltrators down, and then you can't place your infiltrators within 9 inches. So they can block off one flank, but chances are most infiltrating units are relatively small, so when they block off one flank, you can then place your Goremongers on another flank, and then use that as your vector for your scout move, because you can scout to where your Goremongers are, and then in your first turn, move, advance, and charge from that position. So it really does unlock a lot of potential to do those sorts of scout moves in those early turns. So the Goremongers are really, really powerful in that regard. And then on top of that, they have a nifty little additional rule. Like, already that would be enough. That's already fantastic. But it also has a reactive move. So when your opponent ends a normal advance or fallback move within 9 inches of this unit, if it's not within engagement range, you can make a normal move of up to d6. Now, normally people use this on units that don't want to be in combat. So somebody ends a normal move, say 7 inches away from you, and you move d6 inches away from them. And now if they want to try to charge you, they need to roll a 7 on their charge, plus whatever you rolled on your d6. So if you roll a 5 or higher, they just can't charge you. So it makes these guys really slippery and hard to pin down in combat. But there's also some really interesting stuff you can do with this where, let's say somebody tries to deny you an objective. If they end near you, you can move more objective control onto the marker. So reactive moves are really, really interesting. It's something that I haven't deep dived in any videos because all of the World Eaters army has never had access to reactive moves. However, now that we have it, it might be worth doing a little bit of a video talking about those reactive moves. One of the other things that I want to mention in terms of infiltrators is that typically what happens, and I'm sure you've all experienced this, is your opponent will hold their infiltrators till the last drop because they want to see where you put your 8-bound, and then they want to put their infiltrators in front of you. Whereas if you have Goremongers in your army, they actually have to drop their infiltrators first to prevent you from placing your Goremongers where you want. So having just a single unit of Goremongers in your army really does just completely change the way that your opponent is going to interact with your scouting units. It's also worth noting that if you take multiple units of Goremongers, you can actually box your opponent in their deployment zone, and you can also charge turn 1 with Goremongers quite easily, because if you're infiltrating, you're starting 9 inches away from your opponent's deployment zone, and then these guys have a 9-inch move. So you're pretty much in your opponent's deployment zone from that first turn. And these guys hit sort of okay. They'll kill small things like a unit of scouts or something like that relatively consistently. Or at the very least, they'll cripple those units, pile into some things, and then all of a sudden your opponent has to try to fall back to get out of combat. There's a lot of really annoying things that you can do with a small unit of infiltrators, especially one that has things like a reactive move. Let's have a quick look now at the Wargear options. It's relatively straightforward because it's going to be a kill team. You're going to build it as per the box, where basically one guy can have his chain blade replaced with an auto pistol. I don't think you're going to do this. You probably just keep the chain blade. And the chain blade can be replaced with a blood harpoon. Now this is probably an upgrade that you will do because that shooting attack is semi-reasonable, being strength 5, AP 1, 2 damage with D3 sustained hits. It's not trash. Then we look at the unit composition. You've got a Blood Herald and 7 Goremongers. They've all got auto pistols, chain blades, close combat weapons. It's interesting that a Goremonger's chain blade can be replaced with an auto pistol, so you have one guy that can have 2 auto pistols. I don't know why you would want to do that. I guess that's how the kit is assembled. You get 8 guys for 85 points, so these are more expensive than Jackals. They also don't have sticky objectives built into their datasheet like Jackals. They also don't have a icon of Khorne, so they're not giving you rerolls on your blessings or anything like that. So there's quite a few things that these guys don't do. So they're not going to be a straight replacement for Jackals. They're also a bit more expensive than Jackals, so there's definitely a reason why you're going to want to keep Jackals in your army. But I think straight out of the gate, every single World Eaters player is going to need at least 1 unit of these guys, purely to facilitate that scout move. So that's all really, really exciting. And then in terms of keywords, the infantry, they've got grenades, which is really interesting. That means that you can basically use that grenade strat to do mortal wounds to somebody, which is not nothing. There'll be plenty of times where you go in and there's like there might be a character with 1 or 2 wounds remaining from a combat or something like that, and you're like, oh cool, I'm just going to go in and grenade him. Or you might be like, cool, there's 5 scouts on an objective, I got storm hostile objective, or I got overwhelming force, and I want to get that kill. Having these Goremongers go in, throw a grenade, kill 1 or 2 scouts from the grenade, and then charge and kill 2 or 3 scouts. You can probably pick up a unit with a combination of the grenades and, the melee from these guys. So, really, really exciting data sheet. I think that this is going to absolutely revolutionize the World Eaters and really bring it back into the meta in a serious way, because if you can't stop those World Eaters from doing that big scout move and charging you turn 1, you're in a lot of trouble. So I think we're going to see Goremongers, Lord Invocatus, 2 big units of Exalted 8-bound is going to be the core of a lot of World Eaters lists. And then you'll probably see Angron in it, a bunch more regular 8-bound, and some Jackals for your backfield screening is going to be a very popular list archetype. So yeah, these guys are really exciting. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. We'll keep this video nice and short, but let me know. Let's get a conversation going. And if you'd like, let me know, and I'll create a infiltrating masterclass or a scout move masterclass to really deep dive. I'll pull up some terrain layouts and some maps and really deep dive how you can use the combination of infiltrate on your Goremongers with your scout moves on your 8-bound to really threaten your opponent. Because there's a lot to be discussed here. For example, just a brief sort of idea that you can talk about is sometimes you want to threaten the scout move, but not actually do the scout move. Threatening it is enough because it forces your opponent to deploy really deep in their deployment zone. And then when you don't scout into them, well, now they're spending the entire game catching up to where they should have been if they had just deployed aggressively. So there's tons of nuances to the infiltrate scout dynamic that we can absolutely talk about if you guys think that would make for an interesting video. But either way, let me know in the comment section below what you think of this fantastic new data sheet. I think it's amazing, and I think it's going to revolutionize the entire faction. I think it's going to reinvigorate it, and we're not going to see a huge sea change in lists, but we're going to see a huge sea change in the way that the list is piloted and the utility that it's going to get, because your opponent isn't going to be able to just shut down our most powerful rule anymore. So we'll leave it there. Thanks for tuning in, guys, and let me know what you guys think in the comments section below. And if you want to show your support for this channel so that I can continue to produce videos like this, check out blogforthebloodgod.com.au, where we've got access to merchandise like the shirt that I'm wearing. We've got neoprene, objective markers, gaming mats, dice, 3D printed miniatures. We've got terrain sets. There's tons of really cool swag on that website. And every time you buy something, a little bit goes towards this channel so that I can improve the quality of my equipment, improve the quality of the videos, put in more effort and time because it can justify things like taking leave from work so that I can produce these videos. All of it is very much appreciated. And also, if you want to show your support, you can join the Discord server, go through the Patreon, and we have a lot of fun talking in that Discord. We do coaching, we do advice, we do list writing, we share memes, we share hobby updates, and we generally have a great time over there. So either way we go, we got you covered. Thanks for tuning in, guys, and I'll see you in the next time.
The Warhammer community suffers from some of the most prohibitively expensive essentials in the world, especially Australian content creators. Every single day, Dean wants to create content, but he can't. Suffering from old, worn-out brushes, expensive model kits, and costly software and equipment he can't endure much longer. Just look at this dirty paint water. Would you drink this? Would you let your child? Even a small monthly donation can help provide Dean with clean paint water, basic tools for survival, and access to life-saving information and education. So please, follow the links in the description below and find out how you can sponsor a mad cunt like Dean today and end the suffering. Suffering that is cruel